What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to another Too Good for Theaters video. Today, opening day is officially upon us and the baseball season has begun. This video, we're going to be going over the Boston Red Sox and my expectations and predictions for what's going to play out during this MLB season. So let's get right into it. I think that the greatest area of impact that the Red Sox improved upon last season was certainly in their starting rotation, especially given the fact that they brought in two high-quality starters, of course being expected ace Garrett Crochet from the Chicago White Sox, as well as signing starting pitcher Walker Buehler, who recently won a title with the Los Angeles Dodgers here. But I really do think that the Red Sox have a very solid five-man rotation, and people were even talking about employing a six-man rotation. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if the Red Sox do that for a little portion of the season, especially deeper into the season, when you do want to relax the arms a little bit. And of course, sliding back everyone an extra day is certainly going to help with that as well. But your starting rotation does look a little bit something like this. Expected ace Garrett Crochet, who's had himself a great spring training and really has looked all the bit of what the Red Sox have wanted to acquire and getting themselves a true ace here. Of course, there are a little bit of question marks with Garrett Crochet of whether or not he's going to be able to hit that innings threshold that I'm sure the Red Sox want him to work towards. Of course, only pitching 146 innings last year with the White Sox, so you're going to want to see those numbers jump up a little bit here if he is expected to be that ace for you for this Boston rotation. And especially given the fact that it is a contract year, I expect him to fully immerse himself into trying to get this team a lot of innings and trying to get himself a little bit of a payday here. But then moving over to the two spot here, I fully expect Tanner Houck to continue to pitch well after he had himself an all-star season last year. And sliding him back in the rotation certainly isn't going to help, where he's not facing the ones, the aces. Instead, he's facing the twos. And hopefully he's just going to be able to continue everything that he did well last year and hopefully recover from a pretty poor spring training for Tanner Houck thus far and kind of recapture what he was able to kindle up last season. And then in the third hole, you're going to expect Walker Buehler. Of course, coming back from an injury last season, he really took off during the postseason where he started to pitch a lot better, and he really looked like the Walker Buehler of old here. So if the Red Sox are getting that pitcher from that third spot there, they're going to have themselves a very deep rotation, especially given the fact that Walker Buehler's stuff is simply just electric, obviously having a ton of velocity even after the Tommy John surgery. So I'm fully expecting Walker Buehler to give you some very good outings here for this Boston rotation here. And with him also being on a one-year deal, maybe it's something that the Red Sox can work with and possibly trying to get him to sign an extension. And then you have a couple of injured players here, that being Brian Bayo, Cutter Crawford, and Lucas Giolito. All of them are going to be in the mix. I do believe that Brian Bayo as well as Lucas Giolito are going to miss the first couple weeks of this regular season. But between these six players right here, that's a very good, solid rotation where if you want to move a guy back to the bullpen and only employ a five-man rotation, you certainly could do that and have someone work out of that long relief role. But also you have guys like Sean Newcomb as well as Richard Fitz, who I both expect them to be on the opening day roster considering the fact that some of these other pitchers are injured. But they both had themselves very good spring trainings, and I wouldn't expect them both to be fully on this roster for the majority of the season. I would expect them to be optioned down to AAA Worcester for a little bit. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see these guys taking multiple outings for the Sox this season. And if they're able to continue what they did during spring training, hopefully they're going to be really good 5-6-man guys in this starting rotation. And wrapping that kind of up, this is a very good rotation. You have some depth there. You could also throw in Cooper Criswell. Not necessarily the biggest name, but someone who could just eat up innings there, who also will probably get option to AAA here, as well as just maybe get some bullpen work in as well. But this is a good rotation. The Red Sox have starting pitching depth to really get them through the season, which is something that they haven't had these past couple years in terms of their starting rotation, even employing the bullpen strategy last year. But this is going to put a lot less stress on the bullpen. And when guys are eating up innings like this rotation is expected to do, it's only going to make Alex Cora's job a lot easier when managing his starting rotation as well as the bullpen. And hopefully it's going to attribute to the Red Sox winning a lot of games this upcoming year. Sticking with the pitching theme here, moving on to the Red Sox bullpen here. This is where I probably have the biggest question marks with this team, and it is a little worrisome considering the fact that I do believe that the back end of this bullpen certainly has some big question marks to it. Of course, Aroldis Chapman just got named the closer today by Alex Cora. So there are going to be times where Aroldis Chapman looks dominant, but then there's also going to be times where Aroldis Chapman cannot find the strike zone, and there's going to be inconsistency. So I'm sure he's going to have plenty of save opportunities this season. It's going to be up to him whether or not he's going to be able to convert on the majority of them. But then you have guys like Liam Hendriks, who I believe is coming off the Tommy John surgery. So hopefully he's able to rekindle a little bit of that 2019-2020 magic that he had, being one of the better relievers in this league. But then you have returning guys like Zach Kelly, Justin Slayton, Brenner Berardino, Garrett Whitlock, and those type of names, Josh Wiskowski, guys that we've seen for a multitude of seasons here. And you have a good, solid bullpen between righties and lefties. Of course, you added names like Justin Wilson out there, and like I said before, Aroldis Chapman. So nice blend of righty-lefty mixes here. It's just going to be up to the bullpen and really the back end of this bullpen, whether or not they're going to be consistently closing out these games for the Red Sox, because I fully expect the Red Sox to have a ton of leads this season because of how high-powered their offense is sure to be. But moving over here to the positional group as well as the lineup, I really do expect this to be the highlight of the Red Sox season. Of course, the Red Sox have had very good offenses these past couple years, but I expect them to even be on another level this season due to additions like Alex Bregman, as well as Trevor Story's hopefully going to be able to play this season and not go down with a fluke injury early on. And he's had a much better spring. However, of course, there always is the injury concern and the injury bug with Trevor Story. So not sure how long that's going to end up lasting, but you do have good, solid depth behind him. You have guys like Ceddanne Rafaela, who last year proved that they could be a solid defensive MLB shortstop. And of course, Ceddanne's going to be moving to center field, which moves Jarren Duran over to left, and Wilyer Abreu, a Gold Glove right fielder. I'm very much expecting this defense of the Red Sox to play a lot better this upcoming season. And when you get rid of one of the worst defensive third basemen in baseball and get yourself a Gold Glover from that standpoint, that being Alex Bregman taking over full-time third base duties with sliding over Rafi Devers to that DH role, I'm fully expecting this infield defense to be a lot better. You have Casas over at first. You're going to have Christian Campbell, I'll get into a little bit later, starting at the second base position. Trevor Story presumably is going to start at short, and Alex Bregman at third, and Connor Wong behind the dish. That's a very solid defensive infield. Of course, Connor Wong, we know that he's not the greatest of defensive catchers, but guess what? You have Omar Narvaez kind of playing behind him, who is a pretty solid defensive catcher. And this lineup, I believe, is going to rake. They have a very good blend here of these righties and lefties. And getting Alex Bregman was such a critical offseason signing for these Red Sox, because the Red Sox really have needed a right-handed bat in this lineup for a long time. And Trevor Story really hasn't been able to provide that, just due to the fact that he hasn't necessarily been that productive at the plate under this Red Sox uniform, and of course the injury history. So signing Alex Bregman, giving them that big right-handed bat who's going to be able to take advantage of the Green Monster out there, this is a very good sign for the Red Sox offense. You have a very good blend, as I said before, between lefties and righties. You have good speed, Jarren Duran, Ceddanne Rafaela, Trevor Story, guys like that. And this is a lineup that can hit for contact, hit for power, get on base. This is expected to be a very good Red Sox lineup, and I expect them to be very aggressive on the base pass. And that was something last year that the team that I really enjoyed, was how athletic the team was. And if they're able to kind of continue that trope here, you're getting younger, you bring in guys like Christian Campbell. I expect Marcelo Meyer as well as Roman Anthony to hit the field soon as well. I mean, these are guys who have five-tool kind of athletic traits here, can run for speed, hit the ball, play good defense for you. So I'm very excited to see how this Red Sox offense as well as the defense improves based off of last season. And I haven't even gotten into guys like Tristan Casas, who hopefully can have some bounce-back seasons, stay fully healthy. And looking at this lineup here, there really is no easy out. I mean, you can get production from anywhere in this lineup, and even if guys aren't necessarily long drive hitters or contact hitters, you're still going to get good at-bats from them. Even guys like Ceddanne Rafaela has very much improved his walk rate in this spring training, and of course that was a little bit of a concern last year with him kind of picking up MLB pitching, but he looks much more comfortable at the plate during spring training. Of course, it's a smaller sample size, but if he's able to continue in that stride, this lineup becomes great from top to bottom, whether it's working counts, just getting on base, and putting the ball in play. I think that this lineup can kind of reminisce that 2018 squad. Maybe not the same production, of course, but even the 2021 season, where there really were no easy outs in that lineup, and guys just knew how to work at bats and get on base. So I expect this Red Sox offense to be top in the American League like it has been these past couple years. And hopefully this team is going to be able to win more games at Fenway Park than they have these last couple seasons, because that's certainly going to be a vital area if the Red Sox do want to look into this AL East divisional standings here and try to get themselves back into the postseason. However, I do think the biggest question for this season is how much do the big three get at the MLB level, and I fully expect that the big three will get a solid amount of time at the MLB level. And one of the big three, that being Christian Campbell, has already won themselves a starting job on this opening day roster playing second base. And I'm very happy to kind of see what Christian Campbell is able to bring to this lineup. Of course, he was the minor league player of the year last year and had himself a pretty solid spring training. You know, he's still putting some stuff together, so there's some up and downs. But of late, he's been coming on hot. Of course, he had himself a very good Mexico series there, so hopefully he can continue to translate that over. And one of the great things about this Red Sox lineup is there's not a lot of pressure on Christian Campbell to produce immediately. So he's going to be able to ease himself in there. He's playing second base, a position that he's comfortable with. You know, he's going to have a good defensive infield around him. So I fully expect him to be able to translate all his fielding capabilities to that second base position. And hopefully he's going to be able to have himself an outstanding rookie season, as well as for Marcelo Meyer and Roman Anthony. I think that inevitably there is going to be a Trevor Story injury of some kind. Hopefully it's not something that keeps him out for a remainder of the season or puts him on the 60-day IL or anything like that. But I do think that there's a good chance that he does get hurt or rehab something at some point in time, which means Marcelo Meyer probably is that next man up at short. And given the spring that he had, there's no reason why he shouldn't be elevated to the MLB roster. The Red Sox should have full confidence in what he was able to do, not only in his spring training kind of debut in last season, but just what he's done in the minors and how well he's progressed. And of course, we kind of forget about Marcelo Meyer, but he was the highest picked player of these three players. And based off the spring training that he had this year, he looks very comfortable, whether it's hitting the all fields, very good defender, and he really does show he has very good athletic capabilities. He's a solid base runner, stuff like that. And he's one of the 5-tool players that the Red Sox really want to produce at some point for this team. And maybe if a guy like Christian Campbell, maybe move him out the left or something like that, if one of the outfielders go down, there could be a chance that Marcelo Meyer comes up and plays second for you for a little bit. And unfortunately for Roman as well as Marcelo, there are guys just in front of them. So they're going to have to wait for injuries, or they're probably not going to be making their debuts until much later in the season, when this team really needs to elevate them at some point to get them some more MLB experience, because these guys are the future of the Red Sox right now. And it's a good future. The Red Sox have a future that is now, as well as guys who are still developing like these two. So I'm very excited for this season. Of course, the Red Sox are going to be in postseason contention, hopefully, and hopefully they get back there for the first time since 2021. So it's going to be a very interesting season. If everything goes right for the Red Sox and they have a pretty healthy year, I really do think that this team can compete for a pennant, and just so much rides on the health of their players. But if everything goes right, this is a team that can compete for a championship. All right, everyone, that's going to wrap up this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Are you as high on the Red Sox as I am, or are you a little bit lower on them? But once again, thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you with some more upcoming content.